Nestled in the northeast quadrant of Alberta, the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo has its limitations when it comes to accessibility. It's a 5.5-hour drive on a good day from Fort McMurray to Edmonton. Add in extreme weather conditions, and accessibility can be limited, to say the least. So when it comes to accessing medical evacuations and emergency response for more remote areas, Phoenix helicopters are often brought in.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's Highway 63 or an industrial or an outlying community like Conklin or Chip Lake or Fort Chip. We work in conjunction with the RCMP and the Fort McMurray Fire Department to respond to pretty much anything, whether it's search and rescue or providing medical transport. We've done highway crashes where we've taken extraction crews as well as the paramedics along. So it really doesn't matter what the emergency is. If it's remote access and a helicopter can speed up the response, quite often we'll go.
With time being of the essence, Spring realized the importance of having someone at the hangar 24/7 when he opened Phoenix Helicopter 20 years ago.
When we built this facility 10 years ago, we'd already been doing medevac and emergency services work for about 14 years in the community, and I decided at that time being on site would be advantageous for quick responses. We do get called some odd times. In the summertime with the daylight hours, we may go out at 4 in the morning on a call. So yeah, there's a pilot on site here, and we also have several pilots on call.
With an entire fleet of medically equipped helicopters, Phoenix is dispatched by the regional municipality emergency response and works in conjunction with the fire department and paramedics when covering emergencies throughout the region, including Highway 63 and 881.
If it's something like just recently with Highway 63 where there was 2 casualties, we took along 2 helicopters and 4 paramedics. So we really tailor the response to whatever the circumstance is. Big industrial accidents, we may have 5 machines on standby waiting to hear what the outcome is if helicopters can help. So it's different every time.
Once the patient is picked up, the pilot and paramedics determine whether the patient should be brought back to the Phoenix hangar, where they will be transported by ambulance to the hospital, or if they should land closer at Fire Hall number 1.
In the odd circumstance where we have a patient that's extremely in bad condition, somebody who's about to die, we will cut off about 10 minutes in the recovery time by going to Fire Hall 1. The staff at Hall 1 will physically go out and block the driveway so that we can land there, and then it's a shorter drive for the ambulance over to the hospital. But another key component of a really good EMS system in the community would be a new helipad at the hospital.
Even though Phoenix Helicopters has been providing services for this region for over 20 years, giving people tours and even being used for big budget movies, they still, when it comes to emergency response, people in this community confuse them for stars. And they're not. They're a separate company with separate funding.
The way it works now is the city of Fort McMurray hires us. Then if they've followed or met the protocols for emergency helicopter services through Alberta Health Services, they can then send the invoice on to the province, and the province will pay it. There's just some criteria that have to be met to make sure a helicopter transport was justified.
Clearly, though, spending time with Spring, it is evident that with his puppies by his side, at the hangar, this community is home. And he takes great pride not only in his fleet, but the service they offer the community.
As you can imagine, communications from an accident scene or some kind of medical response is sometimes by the general public, so we'll get sketchy information to start with. So if they contact 911, they'll call us and say, we want to put you on standby for a medevac, which means we'll have the pilot here, the machine outside, sitting ready. Sometimes we get called and it's a canceled. It sounded worse than it was. By the time they got the details, it didn't justify sending a helicopter because they are expensive. But if it is an actual call, we'll get the machine out, and while we're prepping the aircraft for flight, the fire department will come to our facility, and we'll take either 2 or 3 of their medics along with us and respond.
So next time you look up, it might just be Paul Spring or one of his team in the sky, whether it be for wildfire suppression, surveying, exploring, or even transporting cargo or passengers. This helicopter service has found a way to make this northern community that much more accessible. In Fort McMurray, I'm Bianca Jade for SHOT TV.